Okay, here we have the explanations for how to get the answers for the practice problems for the day. As usual, I encourage you to look over these and pause as you need to, rewind. The most important thing is, do you understand how to get to the answers? If you just want to check your answers, you can also just sort of fast forward and look for my solution to each one. So here we go. Number 1. So we have r to the third power and raised to the power of 2. This is just our power to a power, and the rule is that we multiply our exponents. So r to the 3 times 2 gives us r to the 6th power. Number 2. Here's the newest rule that we learned, which is a power of products, and also we'll have our power of powers. So remember, this 7 gets distributed to each of the bases inside the parentheses, and that's going to be by way of multiplication. So this is p to the 4th to the 7th, q to the 2nd, also to the 7th, and now we have our power of powers, so p to the 4 times 7, q to the 2 times 7, p to the 28th, q to the 14th. Okay, number 3. Again, the 4 on the outside of the parentheses gets to each base. So we have our base of 3 and we have our base of m. So we're going to have 3 to the 4th times m to the 5th to the 4th. We can just leave 3 to the 4th in exponential form. No need to multiply that out. Although it would be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 81, but we can leave it as 3 to the 4th. And now we have m to the 5 times 4 because it's a power of powers. 3 to the 4th, m to the 20th. Number 4. Starting to get a little bit more complicated, but again, if you just take this step by step. So the first set of parentheses doesn't have a power on the outside, so we can leave that for a moment. The next one also doesn't have a power on the outside, so we can leave that for a moment. And this one does, so the 2 gets handed out to each base. So I'm just going to copy over the steps before. 2m squared, 4m to the 4th. And now here we have 8 squared n squared. Now what you see is the parentheses aren't really serving any purpose, so we can just kind of rearrange everything. And so we have 2 times 4 times 8 squared, m squared, m to the 4th, n squared. So I just use the commutative property of multiplication, which says I can rearrange multiplication in any order I want, and it shouldn't change the answer. Just double check to make sure that I have all the terms. And now we have that rule where, since we're multiplying things, well, so first of all of these numbers, you could multiply these all out. But here's a little trick. This 2 times 4 is 8. So we really have 8 times 8 squared, m squared, m to the 4th, n to the 2nd. So here we have 8 times 8 squared, and how many of that is there in all? Well, you add the exponents. So you have 1 8 and 2 8s is 8 to the 3rd power. Here you have 2 m's and 4 m's, so m to the 2nd, m to the 4th ends up being m to the 6th because you add those together. And there's only one base of n, so you have n squared. Okay, number 5. So here, our first set of parentheses, this 3 gets handed out to each of the bases. So we have a cubed, b cubed, and this negative 2 gets handed out to each of the bases. So we have a to the negative 2, b to the negative 2. And now again, the parentheses aren't serving any real purpose, so we can just rearrange. A to the 3rd, a to the negative 2nd, put our a's together and our b's together. And now here's the rule of you're multiplying with the same base, you add exponents. So a to the 3 plus negative 2, b to the 3 plus negative 2. Well, 3 plus negative 2 is like 3 minus 2, which is 1. So we just end up with a to the 1, b to the 1, or a times b, because the 1 is not necessary. Either of those would be perfectly fine. And our last problem, number 6. First set of parentheses, this 3 gets handed out to each base. So we have x to the third, y to the fourth, to the third. And this negative 2 gets handed out to each base. So we have x to the first, to the negative 2, y to the third, to the negative. Running out of room there. That's also to the negative 2 power. I'll clean that up a little bit in the next step. So x to the third power is x to the 9th. Y to the 4th to the third power is y to the 12th. I'm multiplying because it's a power to a power. X to the first to the negative 2 is x to the negative 2. And then y to the third to the negative 2 is y to the negative 6. Putting them together by organizing by base, we have x to the 9th, x to the negative 2, y to the 12th, y to the negative 6th. And here we have our multiplying, so we're going to add our exponents. So x to the 9 plus negative 2 is 7. And then our y is 12 plus negative 6. It's like 12 minus 6, which is 6. Y to the 6th power. Okay, so there's how you do them. Hope this helps.